We're back with another Splinterlands video. So I've talked a lot about my investment strategy, sort of generally, over the past, few months. I bring it up a lot when it comes to cards. Basically, when a card shoots up in price compared to all the other cards around it, I generally sell it, take that DEC, wait, and then buy it back when the market cools off. Right? You've seen that happen for a variety of reasons over the last few months, where one or two cards particularly will shoot up in value. We saw it when they announced the summoners for Chaos Legion, right? We saw it when they let us know Earth was going to have a magic summoner, that Tarsa was going to be the fire summoner. Earth, for example, all the magic monsters shot up. Even when they released Sloan, all the range monsters for the life team shot up in price. We've also seen it now when they do the legendary summoners, right? When they release Wraith, stuff went up. When they just released Yasik, we talked about some of the cards that shot up in price. And I generally use those opportunities to sell. And also sometimes cards just will generally shoot up in price. But there is a big downside to this strategy, and we're going to talk about it in this video. We're going to go through 3 of my most recent examples of attempting to do this. I covered this in a previous video, these sort of 3 transactions I did. And we're going to talk about it because one of them is just sort of a good example that I'm going to show you and just give you a general update on. The other one was a big success, and the other one hasn't been a success. And I'm going to use the one that hasn't been a success to sort of talk about, this strategy isn't going to work forever. We'll get into that. But before we do, I am Hawks21. I cover Splinterlands content almost every single day. If you are new to the game, this is a great place to be. We cover sort of strategy tips like this. When it comes to playing the market, we do gameplay stuff. We do everything here. So if you're new, it would be awesome if you could like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know you're new here. If it's anything specific you want to see, don't be afraid to ask. I like making videos that sort of answer some of the questions you guys have. Okay, let's get into it. So there were 3, if you remember. The first example was, I gotta go to buy. The first example was the Tortesian Sheaf. It is the only neutral healer. Actually, let's take it off of neutral just so you can see in the grand scheme of things where it resides in terms of modern epic cards. So yeah, you got to scroll down all the way to the bottom and you'll see it here, right? So I believe I had 20 BCX and I sold mine for about 7 BCX. So I got, I think, $140, maybe a little less than that. I might have had to go a little under 7. I haven't bought back into this one. I watch it. Right here you can see there's a max level copy. This wouldn't be a bad flip opportunity for someone out there. If you see this video, you'll probably have to wait a little bit. Just because it is a big purchase, and a lot of the big purchases move slower. But buying this at 570 and putting it back up for 7, you'll still be the lowest price by a significant amount. Just food for thought. I don't have the capital to do this right now, or else I would maybe try it myself. But anyways, I'm watching this market. If this gets back down into the 4s or even 3s like it was before, I'll buy him back into at least that tank heal level for sure. It's a very, very valuable card. I don't do this strategy because I don't like the cards. I do this strategy because I think I can sell them at these elevated prices and then buy back in when some of the hype wears off. So this card ran up in price for no real reason. There was no particular reason. It's a very, very, very valuable card just as a neutral tank heal card. But it just had run up over time. And I thought it was a good idea to take some profits and see if I could reinvest them back into this same card at a lower price. We haven't seen that lower price yet, but it's one of the ones I'm watching. Now, let's talk about the success story. It is also here in the epics. So, it's the Revealer. if you remember correctly, I sold my max copy for about 50 cents. I think a little bit under that. It might have been like 48 or 49. I believe it was like $23 or $22.80 or something. But I sold it because what happened was a bunch of bots came back online, or at least that's what we think happened. I haven't dug into it, but the rumor is a bunch of bots came online and started buying single BCX cards because you can't play with ghost cards, right? And this card in particular was of value to them because it is the only card with stun in Modern in bronze. It's the only one. So every bot was trying to pick up a revealer for themselves. And that shot the price up from, it was about anywhere from 15 to 20 cents. It fluctuated a decent amount, all the way up to 50 cents. This one was a particularly easy one for me because, or at least it was in my head. You'll see with the last example, it doesn't always work like this, but there were other catalysts involved. Because these were one-time purchases of the revealer, right? It didn't get particularly more valuable. Like nothing happened to make the revealer a better card. It was just a ton of accounts came on that needed one BCX of this card. So it pushed the price significantly higher from where it was. So I sold mine for 22. And at some point, I think my average price was like 18 cents. I came back and I got my max copy back, right? So I sort of played that arbitrage where, not really arbitrage, but I sort of played that market fluctuation where I sold it at 50 cents and bought them all back at, call it 20 cents. I think it was a little under that. But that saved me 30 cents per BCX, right? That was a 30 cent per BCX gain. I still have the max level card, just like I did from the beginning, but now I have 30 cents times 46. That was sort of like my profit from that exchange. And that's basically the gist of what I try to do, right? And it's worked for a really long time because the market's been pretty stagnant, right? As a whole. Stuff hasn't been moving all together. The stuff that's moved has sort of been one-off stuff, which is perfect for this. Because when the market's stagnant for a period of time, there's not that big excitement pushes sort of across the board where everyone's buying up every single card. We've seen some of that a little bit recently with some of the announcements that we've seen. Specifically SPS rewards coming, DEC shot up. I think people are realizing that Chaos Legion packs are, there's still 5 million-ish left, a little bit more than that, but that's it once they're gone. We've seen some of the Chaos Legion cards tick up across the board. And that's bad for what I do, right? Because, if let's say I sell the revealer at 50 cents, but it wasn't just the revealer that was pumping, right? Or it wasn't just a hype cycle, right? It was like, this card is now significantly better. The market views this card as significantly better. So even though, right, I'm like, they're printing more of this card, it's probably going to come back down, it had still been repriced. So I sell it at 50 cents, but then it goes up to $1 per BCX or 75 cents, whatever it is. I then have to make the decision to either continue wait or buy back in at an even higher price. And that's where it starts getting a little bit dangerous. So right now, I'm kind of playing that game with another reward card, which had a different catalyst, and you'll probably remember that if you watch my previous video. Modern. Quick refresh. And that is the Countess Sinash. So I sold this. Originally, it was trading around $2, a little over $2, and I had a max copy around that price. It shot up. I think it got up to like $4, but I ended up selling mine at like $3.20 or $3 or something. I took $1 per BCX profit. Not that crazy. Thinking that, this card's still in print. It was hype around Yasik. There's going to be more and more of this card flooding the market. But we haven't seen the same drop to the original price level that we did for the revealer, right? It's still sitting here. It's slowly increasing. So now I'm sitting here thinking, this is a card I 100% want to own. This card's insane. I love this card. Blast, Swiftness, Opportunity with the camouflage. It's so easy to hide in the back, and it's basically impossible to do any damage to it. This card's incredible. So I want this card, and now I'm in this weird situation where, we've seen the Chaos Legion card shoot up in price. I'm still pretty confident that because this card's still being printed, more downside is ahead. But I could be wrong, right? And all of a sudden, I could wake up tomorrow and this card's $4.50. And then 2 weeks from now, it's $5 a BCX, right? Like, you just don't know when or if a big market move higher is going to occur. So that sort of brings me to my larger and final point, right? Which is I need to be careful. And the reason why I made this video is to let you guys know that anyone who's been following this also needs to be careful about this strategy, right? I felt like I hadn't been clear that there are downsides, and that is selling really great cards too early. And that's something that I'm starting to consider more and more as we've seen sort of the energy in the market pick up a little bit. I'm not calling for anything imminent. I don't think there's going to be this massive pump or anything anytime soon. But, things are a little more lively, I guess I'll say, than they had been for, the last month or two. Where if we see a market-wide pump, you probably won't see me selling a bunch of the cards that shoot up in value. Mainly because I don't want to be caught in a situation where I'm buying them back at even more prices and then all of a sudden my capital is actually getting wiped away. So at some point, I don't know if it's now, I have to transition to a strategy of holding these cards, right? Not trying to maximize profits and buy back in lower. I need to take what I have and ride the market wherever it goes. It's not to say I'm going to completely stop doing it, right? If there's crazy one-off situations, like I would consider the Revealer one of those that was, a relatively easy one for me, then I'm going to pursue those. I might be wrong, but I'll pursue them. I'm just making this to say I'm going to be a little more careful about this strategy moving forward. And, for anyone who's sort of adopted this alongside with me, because I know I've talked about it and preached it a lot, I just want to make sure you're also a little careful, around what the potential downsides are. Okay, I'm going to stop it there. I hope you're having a great time playing this game. I will talk to you soon and see you around the game.